Looky what I got. This is the Amblernic 280V. I've been so excited to get my hands on this. In theory, it's the perfect little handheld that I've been looking for. I really hope it doesn't disappoint me. Oh, hi everybody, TechTheWeeb here. So this is the box for the Anbernic 280V, which I'm super excited about. I'm hoping that this handheld is the one I've been looking for, a more powerful version of my favorite form factor, something that'll run those problematic games that the others can't, and some higher end stuff too, like PS1. I was so excited that I already opened it, but I put it back in the box so that I could do an unboxing for you, because you can expect only the best from a good old TechTheWeeb. I'll even pretend that I'm surprised. So yeah, let's unbox this thing. Oh wow, look at that. This box is pretty uninteresting. This box is taking away some of my excitement, to be honest. Shouldn't a box for a retro handheld have some awesome graphics all over it? Shouldn't it make me feel like I'm getting a fun toy? This box feels more like I'm buying something super boring, like, I don't know, a USB hub. Actually, I think I have USB hubs that came in more exciting packages than this. Maybe we could spruce it up. Ah, there we go. Okay, let's get into this thing. There's the 280V, and under the plastic holder we have a instruction manual, and there was a USB-C cord in there. I actually didn't bother looking at this manual before. Oh my god, look how small that writing is. Look at it compared to my finger. I can't read this, it's so freaking small. It has color pictures on it, which I guess is nice, but this is literally unreadable without a magnifying glass. How am I supposed to make fun of the poorly translated instructions if I can't even read them? Jeez Louise. So, here's the Anbernic 280V. It looks great. Seriously, so classy. It doesn't look like a toy at all. It's more like a professional device, like a calculator or something. I like it a lot though. It's good to have all sorts of different looking devices for different types of customers. If you're a little kid or a baby, you could get the Pow Kitty V90, because it looks like a little toy. If you're a teenager, you could get something more extreme, like, I don't know, a 280M. When I was a teenager, I would have loved that thing. And professional adults like us with very professional needs could get something like this, the Anbernic 280V. Brushed metal on the front, classy black plastic around the back with a stylish black accents. No bright candy colors, just plain depressing gray. Now for the buttons. You know I'm not a button snob. I like just about any D-pad and buttons as long as they work. And I don't love these, to be honest. Don't get me wrong, they're fine. I'm gonna play with this and enjoy it. I'm not gonna throw it in a lake just because I don't love the buttons. It's just that this D-pad is kinda stiff for my taste. And the buttons are a little stiff too. They just don't have that super quick feel to them. They're just kinda spriggy and mushy and don't really feel all that responsive. Only a tiny little bit though. And that's it. That's my only gripe. I still like it a lot. Here on the front we have Start and Select. Up top we have L1, L2, R1, and oh, what's that other one called? R2, right. They're clicky. They feel good. The R2 and L2 are raised up a bit, so they're easier to press with the tips of your fingers as they reach up there. Also on top we have our USB-C charging port and that all-important headphone jack. On the back we have our single mono speaker that's really quite loud and it sounds very good compared to some of the cheaper handhelds at least. No easily replaceable battery on this guy though, unfortunately. Over here we have the power and reset button, and over here we have the volume up and volume down buttons, and 2 micro SD card slots. But you have to watch out when you're taking these out. These are spring-loaded micro SD card slots. Your cards could go flying. One time I lost a card in a houseplant because it flew across the room when I ejected it. One is the system card and the other is the games card. These we'll get to in a minute, because this is my main point of contention. I try to look on the bright side with my gadgets and my reviews, and I'm not hard to please because I usually like everything. But this device makes it hard not to complain, because I've had some serious problems. Nothing that I couldn't solve, thankfully. And spoiler alert, I really do love this thing and it's my new favorite, but it wasn't without some growing pains. Before we get to that though, let's boot up. There you go, Amblernic, powered by Open Digux. Before we get to the software, just look at that screen. This is a 320 by 480, 2.8 inch IPS screen in a 4:3 aspect ratio, and it's just beautiful. Seriously, compared to older, cheaper handhelds, there's no comparison. We're getting a lot of screen technology, even in cheap devices like this. Speaking of which, this costs about $80 for the base model, and about $90 for the model with more storage and more games. I paid extra for the bigger storage and games, which might have been a mistake, as you'll see. As for the interface, it's very similar to other Open Digux handhelds like the BitBoy, the Pal Kitty V90, the LDK, all of which I've reviewed on my channel, so check out my other videos to see those. As usual, we have some built-in apps that you'll never use unless you're a power user. Some built-in games and ports like Doom and Quake. This one actually had a game I used to play back in high school, Dig Smallwood. I used to love that game. It really resonated with me for some reason. Dig Smallwood. It's like a funny, goofy Diablo. And over here we have all the settings. You could change the theme, shut it down, all that stuff. Oh, who cares, right? Okay, on to the emulators. Built in, we have MAME, DOSBox, Final Burn Alpha for arcade games, NES, Game Boy Color, Sega Genesis, Open Boar, Wonder Swan, PlayStation, Sega Mega Drive, Super Nintendo, Neo Geo Pocket, GBA, PC Engine, which we call TurboGrafx here in Canada, and Neo Geo. Lots of systems on here, and some systems that I never played with when I was a kid, which is what I love about these retro game systems. The ability to play old favorites, but also discover new ones and see what those other systems were all about. So I'll get this out of the way. The games aren't great. Even games that gave me problems on other systems. Every GBA, SNES, and Sega game that I tried ran perfectly. The harder to run games like Yoshi's Island and Star Fox, they ran great. No GBA game had any slowdown at all. And check this out. PlayStation. It's running awesome. Can you believe it? This thing is $80 and it's running PlayStation games. Amazing. Frankly, all the systems played great, sounded great through that speaker, and looked great on that screen. I'll show you a few more gameplay clips in a bit, because I need to address a few issues. First, a gripe that feels minor at first, but is actually a very big deal. The games list. When you open a game library on this thing, let's take GBA for instance, the games are divided into these nondescript folders. Then inside the folders, you have some weird naming convention where they all start with numbers. Maybe there's a reason for this, but here's the thing. How the heck are you supposed to find the game you want to play? There's no search. No favorites function. You just have to take a guess at which folder will have the game and start scrolling. And keep in mind that there's thousands and thousands of games on this thing. And they're all like this, all the systems. I mean, come on, Anbernic. It's such a simple thing. The kind of thing you'd notice if you just tried the device one time. You thought, okay, we built a great gaming device. Let's give it a test in, I don't know, Super Mario World. Oh wait. We have no way to find Super Mario World other than scrolling through page after page of cluttered garbage. Maybe we should put them in, I don't know, alphabetical order or something. Now, it's an easy fix, obviously. You'll just shove that SD card in your computer, and then you put your own ROM library, which has the games in alphabetical order. But when you're paying a premium for an extra large SD card that's supposed to come with all the games, it sucks to have to do that for many reasons, but here's a big one. Get this. I copied over some SNES games, worked great. Then I copied over some GBA games, all good. So I started copying over some other systems, but then at some point I was copying something or other and the card stopped responding. And then the card was just broken. It wouldn't be read by my computer anymore, or any computer. I tried it in multiple computers. I couldn't format it. I couldn't scan it and repair it. Nothing. I mean, it's a cheap Chinese micro SD card, and everyone always says they suck and that you shouldn't rely on them. Well, this is the first time that I ever had one fail on me. So within the first hour that I owned this, I got frustrated because I couldn't find the games I wanted to play, and then I had to copy over my own ROM libraries, and then the card died, and I couldn't play anything. What a piece of garbage. At least that's what you'd think based on my initial experience, because it all gets way better from this point on. I had intended to install a custom firmware on this to begin with, Atom Image specifically. That's the 280V firmware darling that everybody loves. I didn't intend to have to do it immediately because my other card died, but them's the breaks. So I got two new SD cards, a 16GB system card and a 128GB games card. I followed the guide by Retro Game Corps. A shout out to Russ at Retro Game Corps. That guy is a star. His channel is way better than mine and he has written guides and stuff. I'll include a link to his guide in my description below. That's what I did. I followed his guide to install Atom Image. I'm not gonna show you any of that because his guide explains it all. And it's good we have a guide like this because it's easy enough, but not effortless. You need to download some programs, flash your micro SD card, boot it up to install, create the game folders, copy over your games, and you gotta use some other program to download your game art. It's pretty flawless if you follow the steps, and I'm a tech dweeb, so I don't mind getting into the nitty-gritty technical stuff. But for regular people who just want to buy a device that works right away and has all the games without having to tinker, this isn't it. And I'm really sad to say that, but that's the truth. The default config is just so annoying, and the card might die on you. So if you don't want to mess around with managing your own games, then you're out of luck. But taking the time to figure out how to install Atom Image and get your games library organized and download the box art and everything is slightly tedious and time consuming, but it's so worth it. Because look at this. Isn't that beautiful? Big full screen menus, well organized games list with little pictures of the games. The systems themselves are divided into categories, and you can enter into each system to see all your games. There are themes for this interface, which is called Simple Menu by the way, so you can change the look and feel. I like the default personally. And look, there's a favorites function, so you can save your favorite games to a list for easy access. You can also jump ahead of the games list by letter by holding down the B button and scrolling left and right. You can get to the main menu and shut down super quick by pressing Start and A, and then you can boot up by pressing the reset button instead of holding the power button. Like, this is the way these devices should be, right? Like, they should be beautiful, elegant, easy to manage, and just present as few barriers as possible to get you into the games that you want to play. So, while my initial review of this thing would have been an F grade, I'm gonna do the rest of the review as if that never happened. I'm gonna push those bad memories deep down with the rest of my bad memories that can never hurt me, and consider this Amblernic 280V as if it came with this software and games library on it out of the box. So, let's go through some systems and games, and I'll show you how they run. First up, I'll mention that this image has RetroArch installed for most of the emulation, which is awesome. RetroArch is a mature emulation backend that has a ton of options on configurability. And the cool thing about this image is that it's all pre-configured for the systems. There are a bunch of extra systems added as well that weren't supported on the original firmware too. Not that I care about most of that obscure stuff, but hey, if you wanted to run Atari 7800 games for some reason, you could go right ahead. So, without further ado, let's play some games. I'm not gonna spend lots of time talking about each system. I actually recorded a whole bunch of gameplay footage and commentary, so I'm gonna make a separate video, an extended gameplay video on this guy. So today we're just gonna really quickly go through the performance. So obviously all the old systems will work totally fine. I mean, things like Atari and the Neo Geo Pocket and the Game Boy, And the NES, they run on everything. You don't need me to tell you that they're gonna run good on a system like this. But the good news is that all the 16-bit era runs perfectly fine. All the Super NES, Game Boy Advance games, even games that usually give me problems on other devices. Like Yoshi's Island and Star Fox and lots of Game Boy Advance games. Not lots, well, a couple. Gave me problems on other devices. Everything I threw at this thing ran perfectly fine. There was absolutely no issue with any of the 16-bit era system, which is nice. It's nice that a retro game console will play all that stuff, because it's a bummer when you get playing games and you can fire up some, Super Nintendo game and you realize that your device can't really play it very well. So no worries with any games on this guy. One thing I will mention quick is that the default configuration for all of the systems, there's one or two that I don't really like the scaling options that they chose, and you could change that easily. I'm going to show you how to do that in my extended gameplay video. I just wanted to mention it here that, yeah, you might want to tinker around with the settings on a few systems to get it looking the way that you want it to. And no talk about the performance of this thing would be complete without addressing PlayStation. That is where this device shines. This device is powerful enough to play every PlayStation game that I threw at it. I'm sure there are some that would have some slowdown. Maybe you'll have to turn on frame skip. I tested a bunch and I didn't have any problems. That's why this device is great. It's because it's the first device in this form factor. The small, pocket-friendly, Game Boy style, screen on top, buttons below form factor that actually handles the 3D era decent. Only PlayStation, it doesn't have emulators built in for Nintendo 64, Sega Saturn, which I think is a mistake. I think this thing could handle that, some of the simpler games on those systems, considering how good it runs PlayStation. But even still, PlayStation is an amazing system. There's tons of great games on it, so that's why you would buy this device instead of one of the cheaper ones like the Pow Kitty V90 or an older thing like the LDK. It's because it has the performance and power to handle the problematic stuff from the old systems and also some newer stuff too. It's a double whammy. Well, what could I say? It's been a journey of discovery with a few roadblocks and heartaches along the way, but through my struggles I overcame all the obstacles, and now I have the device that I've always wanted. A device in this form factor, with the screen on top and the buttons underneath, something small that is light and pocket-friendly, but still powerful enough to play everything that I throw at it, and look great and feel great doing it. I stand by my gripes that I said earlier. It's really not acceptable that you have to go through so much to have fun with this thing. And hey, maybe you'll have better luck with your SD card than I did, or maybe different sellers or different versions have better game libraries that are actually organized or whatever. For me, if I didn't have my technical know-how, I would have sent this thing back for a refund because it's no fun when it doesn't work. But with the atom image and a little bit of time figuring out how to do things like configure the cards and download the images, which was all quite easy to do when following the guide, this is an amazing experience. The device itself is clean and elegant, the software is beautiful and really showcases the games in the best way, and just the overall package makes me so happy that I just can't give it a bad score. I love this thing. It's my new favorite handheld. For improvements? I don't know, maybe it could be a bit thinner and lighter, I guess. A different D-pad and buttons would be nice, in my opinion. Maybe it could play like Nintendo 64 or Sega Saturn, like the larger, more expensive handhelds. But for now, this gets my highest praise possible. 17 dweebs out of 19, with a Tech Dweeb Certificate of Awesomeness. Although, I'm gonna toss in the Stinky Poop Award because of the problems at the start, but I'll give it a cute face because the problems were solved easily enough and now I'm a happy tech dweeb. And that brings us to the end. Please let me know in the comments below. What do you think of the Amblernic 280V? Do you have one? Did you have the same experience as me? What's your favorite retro handheld? I'm thinking about getting one of the big boys, like the Pow Kitty, RGB 10 Max or the Max 2 or the Amblernic 351p or waiting for one of the next generation handhelds. Which one do you think I should get? I'd love to hear from you down there. And while you're down there, give me a thumbs up if you like the video, or a thumbs down if you didn't like it for some reason. Subscribe so you don't miss any of my videos. I'm TechTheWeeb. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.